Well, welcome back to the Soulful Afro show with Miss Yvette.
Thanks, Hassan. So we're gonna jump right in because we have one of our first guests holding, and I don't want to keep her too long because I'm really wanting to give her the time to share her thoughts. But the Sandra Bland case has us thinking. As we all know, Sandra Bland was a young woman driving in Texas, going to her new job, and basically just crossed over lane and was stopped by a police officer, and that has now led to her death in the jail cell, and they're calling that it was homicide, that it was a suicide. But the fact is, the whole thing started wrong. How did she go from a regular traffic stop, being told to put out her cigarettes, asked to come out of the car, and end up on the floor with the police officer on her back and spending 3 days in jail for a routine car stop, and then now committing suicide is what they're saying. And then this week they also said that she had marijuana in her system. And for some of us, it just feels like a conspiracy. You know, the video came out this week of the incident, and many, including top filmmakers are saying that the video looks like it's edited. So that's a question. The latest is her mugshot. Is she dead in that mugshot because of the way she looks? And why does she already have on the prison jumpsuit if she was only getting booked at that time? So continuing to lift the name of Sandra Bland and all the women and men who have been on the receiving end of police brutality say her name, and her name is Sandra Bland. In thinking about that, yesterday I attended with thousands of other people the Millions People March, which was a march to speak on police brutality, racial injustice, and economic inequality. And it was a wonderful mixture of folks coming together to speak on these three main issues. One of the things that stood out for me was that there was a picture of all the folks that had been killed, murdered by police, and they were also giving away this poster. And you see all the pictures: the Michael Brown, the Tamir Rice, the Eric Gardner, and sadly now Sandra Bland's picture is on this poster. And you know, we had young people, elders, all different ages, races. So it sort of spoke to the fact that now everyone is sort of tired of this, and that it's not just, it is about Black Lives Matters. And you know, this week Bernie Sanders learned that you can say all lives matter, but the fact is that the people that are at the highest end, the receiving end of these horrible acts of violence, are people, are Black people and people of African descent. I just want to read these small paragraphs from one of the papers passed out yesterday by one of our leaders, Tony Menelik. The struggle for self-determination must be understood as a struggle for contending and transformative mass-based Black, working class, and women's power. Altering power relations that create greater levels of people's democratic enforcement must be a part of a transnational program to empower the masses over areas of the state and over the means of production and services of the economy and the distribution of wealth to address the needs of the masses of the people. So it is about the people. It's about creating better everything for everyone, because right now it feels like everyone is under attack. So let's continue to speak up and raise the names of those victims and those continued victims, because right now one of the things that we're learning from Sandra Bland is that that could be one of us. That could have been anyone driving, crossing over a lane, and being in the wrong place, and ending up. Because even if she committed suicide, the question is, what was the trigger, and why was she in jail that triggered this happening to her? So we will continue to speak on that. My next topic, which is a hot topic right now, is the issue of Planned Parenthood. And I'm going to bring today, I have actually this fabulous woman on the show who I actually grew up with and went to my high school and is just brilliant. And we've been trying to figure out how to get her on the show. And then with the whole Planned Parenthood piece, I think it was key to have her. So Selena Winchester is Associate Director of External Affairs at Planned Parenthood and worked for them for more than 10 years. And the issue of Planned Parenthood right now is that someone caught two of the leaders of Planned Parenthood on video, and they're questioning Planned Parenthood's process around organs and their funding, which I think is part of the issue, but there's a bigger issue amongst that. So Selena, welcome. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Let me, Hassan, how is the volume on this? Can we get more? I'm trying to get more volume for folks to hear you better.
I can hear you very well.
Oh, okay, good.
Yes, yes. But I first want to start by thanking you for
Oh,
having me on the show. It's a topic to discuss,
mm-hmm.
and I'm very glad that you are embracing this topic for discussion.
Yes, you wrote something today that really stood out for me. You said women's health should not be a political ping pong. What do you think that, as it relates to what's happening right now with the attack on Planned Parenthood?
Well, what's happening right now with Planned Parenthood on the national level is what has happened before by the same group of people. They have targeted Planned Parenthood employees and egged them on to talk a certain way and then edit the conversation in order for it to sound the way they would like it to sound. And in this particular occasion, they happen to speak with two doctors that perform abortion, and they pretended to be research institutes that use fetal tissue for research for Parkinson's and all the other stem cell related research. And they were not. They are actually a very well organized pro-life group that stems from the live action group from the pro-life movement. So when I posted that on my page about political ping ponging, it was in reference to one of our national congressmen who voted in favor of fetal tissue donation for the purpose of research, and now he seems to be backtracking on having been in favor of that program before.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that you said today, which I think is key for our listeners to hear, is that there's this issue, and they're making it because of those who did this video. It's definitely a pro-life stance, so they want to make it a pro-life versus a pro-choice debate. But beyond that, Planned Parenthood does so much more than abortion. And it is about women's reproductive rights. What are some of the things that Planned Parenthood, you mentioned some numbers earlier that were so striking to me. And the fact that you have done, Planned Parenthood does do a lot for poor women and support for women of color. So tell me a little bit about what are some of the services that Planned Parenthood offers.
Well, Planned Parenthood is a national organization of medical services. And it's mainly reproductive health services for men and for women. For women, Planned Parenthood provides pap smears, breast examination, pregnancy testing, They also do sexually transmitted disease testing and treatment.
Mhm.
They do HIV testing. They do counseling for HIV positive, patients with their
Yeah.
partners.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, they do breast examinations that when they feel something in a woman's breast, if they're not able to perform the mammogram on site, they will refer that patient to the local hospital or provider that accepts her Medicaid or her insurance to have her get a mammogram. And nationwide, I believe we find thousands of women that would have a breast examination that needs follow-up.
Mhm.
So it's a really vision that, um, let's just say about a third, just over a third of poor women in this country use Planned Parenthood.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely. And
about,
how
right,
the percentage of the services of abortion was like at 3%.
right, nationwide, Planned Parenthood only does about 3% of the abortions performed in this country.
Yeah.
3%, that is the most that we do. The rest of it is birth control for the most part. We are a very large provider of birth control. We have initiated the program of encouraging our younger patients to consider the long-acting reversible contraceptives,
Yeah.
such as the IUD or the implant, if they plan to not have a baby within the next 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
rather than to be on a daily treatment like the birth control pill. We work closely with all associations and follow all national guidelines. One of the things that you need to know as well is that Planned Parenthood is the most investigated,
Mm-hmm.
inspected, inspected medical providers around. On any given notice, we can have someone from the Department of Health show up at the door for an inspection, and we pass because we provide service at a higher level than what is set forth by the state that we're practicing. We have a federation, a national office that
Yeah.
raises the bar on how we are to provide care. So whenever we get those surprise inspections, we pass and we pass with flying colors.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, one of the things that's within this debate is the issue of your funding. And should the funding be taken away, is Planned Parenthood getting money, making money off of these procedures? What are your thoughts on that, Selena?
The talk right now is the constant battle to defund the Planned Parenthood.
Mm-hmm.
Funding Planned Parenthood means we will lose almost $500 million, which really translates to, in some areas, having either 20 medical centers down to 2 medical centers.
Yeah.
And what would that mean is that wherever which our medical centers tend to be where the people have access to us,
Mm-hmm.
they either it's on a bus route from their neighborhood or it's in walking distance to their neighborhood. That will no longer be the case.
Yeah.
A lot of these medical centers will have to close, and women will have to find a way to get the care that they need. And that will be very hard because a lot of the women that come to us, not all, so we do accept medical insurance. We accept almost all insurance plans. We were very instrumental in enrolling our patients into the Affordable Care Act.
Yes, you were.
To help them, to help them get on to some kind of insurance plan, whether it'll be Medicaid or a private plan. So if they don't have their local or neighborhood Planned Parenthood, they'll have to find a provider that accepts the plan that they're using. Now, one of the things, the defunding fight is ongoing.
Yes.
It's something that we are always concerned about because what a lot of people don't know is once upon a time, Planned Parenthood was the community health center where entire families would go for their care. Some Planned Parenthood affiliates provided uh, vaccinations, some provided the general checkup of regular practitioners. You had a headache, you had a stomachache, whatever, you could go and get your vaccine. You could take your children to get their vaccinations. And of course, the medical, the reproductive GYN care, up to and including delivery, prenatal care and delivery. Now, with the defunding campaign against Planned Parenthood, a lot of those programs had to be scaled back.
Yeah.
And so right now, we are only, for the most part, providing reproductive health services in our medical centers. And that is significantly less than what we were doing earlier in the 70s when we did prenatal care and we did deliveries and general practice.
Yeah. And that's the thing for me, you know, being educated, you know, through you and what you've been putting out in the message and then reading on it and then now listening to you, it's whatever position you may have, it's an issue of access to health care, better care for women and all women. But, you know, Soulful Afro really focuses on some women of color at times, and I know for a fact through my years in doing domestic violence work as a social worker and in the hospitals, Planned Parenthood has been the space where women who may not have better coverage or, you know, better access will use Planned Parenthood and have gotten very good responses. So I asked the Soulful Afro community to really be open and to pay attention to this issue. That yes, it may mean what position you may carry on the issue, but it is about women's rights to their bodies and what is best for them. So, Selena, what would be your message for those tuning in today and have been reading all these, you know, messages? Because there's a lot. I spent this morning sort of reading, and some of the stuff is so misinformed and very one-sided. You who have been a part of Planned Parenthood for so many years, what would be the message you would want people to hear today?
Well, first of all, I believe you're right. I believe that people need to be informed. They need to look at all of the information. Planned Parenthood is almost 100 years old. It is 99 years old. It has a history of always fighting for women to have the right to control their own destiny.
Mm-hmm.
And so providing birth control is a major factor in whether a woman can be economically sound.
Mm-hmm.
If she's able to control when she wants to have a child. So I would advise that people read, get informed about these issues, not just the video. The video is really just a small screen really to close Planned Parenthood. They want to get rid of the organization. They have been at it for 10 years. If you become informed, then you can take action and contact your legislator, your representative, and let them know that you stand with Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood has websites, Facebook pages where you can show your support because it is a factor for, especially for women of color. Half of our patients are women of color. Almost exactly half of our patients are women of color.
Yeah.
So we have about 3 million patients nationwide.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of women that will be affected should anything go against this organization. So once you become informed, become active so that we can keep self-care available, accessible for the women that need it.
Thank you so much, Selena. I know this is only a part one of the show with you because I think this is something for us to pay attention to. And this is actually happening in not only in the US, but the sisters in Dominican Republic have been speaking on this a lot this week because of what's happening there. So it's time for women to really connect the dots and make the connection to these issues that although you may not be directly in it, it is indirectly affecting all of us. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to have you come back and give us more information as this story develops.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Take care.
Continue to do good work.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So there you go. This was a wonderful segment. I'm so glad, that we were able to get Selena on the show and to get informed. So we're gonna take a quick break when we're gonna be right back, and we have another fabulous, fabulous caller coming in on the show. There are times when I look back and I am haunted by my youth.